In a world full of sorrow, greed, and corruption, we are here to expose the liars and wrongdoers. We are here to promote a social or political cause. We are hacktivists. Hacktivism, or the means of bringing about change through the world of hacking, was introduced in 1996 by a hacker known as Omega. Coined in an email he sent, the term caught on like wildfire as more groups and individuals claimed to be a part of the new phenomenon. Although the term was not used until 1996, hacking has been around since the birth of the online world. The first hacks took place in the early 1950s when students at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology took part in harmless pranks with track circuitry. Hacking then had little to no consequences. It was changed forever when groups such as Anonymous and Morpho took the world by storm in the early 2000s. Although stationed online, these groups also organized marches and protests in plain view of the public eye. Big corporation corruption and police cover-ups were spoken out against. Lies were exposed for the world to see. Hacktivists worked to show the world what was being hidden from them. Although illegal, the hacking was looked at as a way to expose wrongdoings, and thus, was supported by many people throughout the world. 2016 was the year of hacktivism. Lies in the American political campaign were exposed. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had hidden conversations and emails brought to the public eye. Although many hacktivists use their power for good, many hackers used it as a way to make a quick dollar. Through the means of stealing credit card information all the way to hijacking unreleased Netflix shows for ransom, these hackers have brought a bad name to the hacktivist movement. Hacktivism has, and continues to be, a never-changing phenomenon in our current world. As hacktivism has grown, two major groups of hackers have emerged. The first is Lulz Security, commonly abbreviated as LulzSec. They called themselves LulzSec, a contraction of lulz, for laughs, and security, which is what hackers like to compromise. They are a black hat computer hacking group who has claimed responsible for many high-profile attacks. These attacks include the compromise of over 50,000 user accounts from Sony Pictures in 2011. LulzSec has also claimed responsibility for taking the CIA website offline. Some security professionals have commented that LulzSec has drawn attention to insecure systems and the dangers of password reuse. LulzSec has gained lots of attention due to their high-profile targets and the sarcastic messages they post in the aftermath of their attacks. Many members of LulzSec have faced jail time for their hacking efforts, making this group not as successful and popular as the next group we will talk about. A more commonly known group of hackers is Anonymous. Anonymous's activities involve attacking networks or websites. Anonymous has also been active in initiating public protests. Remember when a different Sony website was getting hacked every week? That all started with an attack by Anonymous. After Sony decided to take George Hotz to court for creating and distributing software that allowed PlayStation owners to run homemade software on their consoles, Anonymous launched HashOp Sony and took down the PlayStation network. An example of a public protest started by Anonymous was their Operation Payback. This plan was executed in December of 2010 and their targets were Visa, MasterCard, Amazon, PayPal, and Post Finance. The reasoning behind Anonymous attacking these companies was because the U.S. government demanded that WikiLeaks stop releasing top-secret diplomatic cables to the public. As a result, a number of companies that supported WikiLeaks in the past turned against the website by freezing accounts and shutting down the site's servers. Anonymous decided to step in and declared war on Visa, MasterCard, PayPal for refusing to do business with WikiLeaks. On December 8, 2010, both Visa's and MasterCard sites were taken down by the group. Some of Anonymous's activities have hit close to home. Like 45 minutes west of Pittsburgh. Enter, Steubenville, Ohio. A small town that boasts pride in its local high school football team, the Big Red. At a high school party in August 2012, two of the stars of said team had raped a 16-year-old girl as fellow classmates watched and took pictures. The girl woke up the next day with no recollection of what had happened, but the photos were floating around on social media, while witnesses remained quiet in real life. As did the school officials who were made aware of the incident. Steubenville School's superintendent was accused of erasing emails and wiping out hard drives. The man who was charged with obstruction of justice was Michael McVeigh. There was mild coverage of this case from news outlets. An article in the New York Times captured the attention of Derek Lost Tutter, otherwise known as KY Anonymous, a hacktivist who had organized an operation countering the Westboro Baptist Church. Lost Tutter put out a call to action, and soon the small town of Steubenville was under the national spotlight and filled with Guy Fawkes masks. KY seemed to be heavily inspired by the tagline quote, "Evil prevails when good men to nothing." KY wanted to organize something to be the good man that does something. So what did Anonymous do to get the town and the world aware of the cover-ups happening in Steubenville? Operation Roll Red Roll, named for the school's football team. Members of NISEC, the team working on Roll Red Roll, threatened to release everyone on the team's personal information unless the guilty parties came forward and those that were on the team issue a public apology to the victim and her family. The legitimacy of this threat was heightened when hackers gained access to the school's sports website, rollredroll.com. KY Anonymous posted video of Steubenville grad laughing about the rape case and commenting on the victim's dead appearance. This video was shared by KY and received national attention on news outlets. Various rallies, called Occupy Steubenville, were held outside the Jefferson County Courthouse, where mask-donning protesters held signs and cried out "The world is watching" to express their discontent with the cover-ups and protection that unfortunately existed in this case. The first protest was held on December 29, 2012 and drew 1,000 protesters. Personal attacks were made on the town's police chief. Hackers discovered personal photos of him, falsely claiming they were taken at the town's gay bar. Anonymous accused the school's webmaster Jim Parks of possessing child porn on his computers. The FBI investigated these claims and they turned out to be false. Anonymous members, or at the very least people posing as members of Anonymous, started physically violating homes in the town. KY Anonymous noted that actions like that were out of his hands. Adding to the train of insults, Parks himself declared Anonymous a terrorist group. Police Chief William McCafferty received death threats on Facebook and had his email hacked. He noted that a lot of the claims about people that were thought to have been involved were not true. Despite the fact that none of the actions taken by Anonymous were physical, he referred to them as attacks. That seems to have become a common term substituted for operations. Innocent members of a team expressed discontent with the actions of Anonymous. Eddie Wilson, who was not present at the parties or a witness to any of the events, was receiving death threats online after it was falsely leaked that he was a ringleader in the rape case. Two players, who were interviewed by CNN, said they felt attacked by outsiders. Sources close to the victim, who was referred to as Jane Doe, appreciated the support, but did not like the false claims and the threat of innocent football players having their information released. The two boys were tried as juveniles, Malik Richmond and Trent Mays, with Richmond receiving 1 year, and Mays receiving 2, due to additional charges for distributing nude photos of the underage victim. Meanwhile, Lost Tutter had been tracked by the FBI and sent to the federal court. According to the Washington Times, in March of this year he pleaded guilty to conspiracy in computer hacking and lying to an FBI probe. He now faces 2 years in jail.
There are 3 major effects hacktivism has on our society. Hacktivism has shown how fragile enterprises and governments have been, as well as the security industry. Collateral damage. Hacktivism creates a high level of embarrassment that goes beyond the corporate press, such as data breaches or identity theft. The final effect is the political impact. Often, young protesters will rally against their governments, some of which have been in power for decades. Some websites such as WikiLeaks and Anonymous created the environment that gave rise to the Arab Springs by posting secret government documents online. Is hacktivism worse than physical attacks? Your first thought is to think no if you think of the mass protest outside buildings such as a church. However, hacking is usually worse than the physical assault. Some of those protesters usually do so wearing hoods or masks, of course, like many other protests, can lead to people getting hurt. There are also unexpected fallouts. Unintended consequences can follow hacktivist attacks. In 2011, LulzSec made an attack on the internet porn site, www.porn.com. LulzSec published 26,000 email addresses and associated passwords to embrace users. This triggers an unexpected response from Facebook, which prevented users with the same email address from their Facebook accounts. Facebook automatically assumed those users have the same passwords.
Anonymous has caused a lot of attention on social media over the last decade. After the terrorist attacks in Paris, Anonymous started a social media-driven campaign to hunt down ISIS. The campaign Op Paris considers itself as an online assault against ISIS and show no remorse by waves of hacking attacks. Within a short time span, Anonymous managed to take down 20,000 Twitter accounts of ISIS sympathizers. Furthermore, they were able to take over social media accounts associated with ISIS and gave them an LGBT transformation. Anonymous started out with posting explicit gay porn as well as rainbow flags. As a result, some accounts that were taken down had nothing to do with ISIS. Another issue that Anonymous encounters is that once an account is taken down or frozen, another account can be created to replace the old one. In this given age, there are programs for sharing new accounts with old followers, so their community remains. This problem makes one question the effect Anonymous really has on social media and how they can stop terror groups. Since criminal organizations are already used to creating new social media accounts as they get suspended, it is still unclear whether hacking attacks help to fight against terror groups or not. In conclusion, Internet hacktivism, or hacktivism, is the subversive use of computers and computer networks to promote a political agenda or a social change. We are here to expose the lies. We are here to expose the corruption. We exist without nationality, skin color or religious bias. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget.